Scrapbookers and Creative Friends. I'm Linda Petuch, Creative Memories Independent Advisor in Jupiter, Florida. Welcome to Thursday Thoughts. And today's kind of like a little show and tell because I want to share with you how I document some of the transitions and transformations in my garden. So it's kind of like story time about my garden, which is very, very important to me. And that's the key. Whatever memories you're preserving, you want it to be something that's important to you and to your family. So that's basically what I'm going to share with you today. So let's get started. Now today I have a minimal amount of supplies, truly, compared to what I sometimes have. And I just wanted to share that because I was really wanted to focus on the photographs and the pictures in the garden, I wasn't looking for papers with a lot of designs and so forth. So I used this Rainbow Gradient Best Hits bundle that was offered, though I did not use these. These papers were too busy for me, basically for this purpose anyway. So basically what I used were the colors of the rainbow, and I used the gradient papers because it was just lovely to have just an overall color with slight variations. It worked really, really well. I did use the arrow punch. You'll see how I used that arrow punch when I was showing cycles. And then I did use this circle punch a couple of times, but I didn't really use a lot of other materials. So basically what I did was I would get my photos, okay, and then I would look at the different colors of paper, and then I would just see how these photos looked on that paper, and I would look to bring out a color that's in here. So I wanted to focus on the green that's in here, the red as an accent. But so I used this. I didn't create this page, but I just wanted to show you this is how I chose whatever paper I was going to use. So first let's take a look at some of the stories that I already had created in a couple of albums, and then I'll show you the pages that I made from my recent garden, my garden activities. Now I already have page protectors on here, so I'm trying to angle this so you can see it better. But the reason that I wanted to make, this is one of my primary stories from the house where we're living now, because the backyard was like this, empty. And then we, of course, did a great big makeover with it, and we put in a waterfall and did lots and lots of planting. And I have a photograph hanging on my wall, right when you used to stand and look out the family room window. The view that you had was pretty much like this. And I made a photograph, an 8x10 of it, and hung it up there right next to the window. And I remember my husband said, "Why do you want to do that?" Because when you look at what it used to be and what it is now, it's just striking. And it makes me happy. So that's what I did. Some other things I put here, this was the transformation from this to the waterfall. So it was empty. And then now we have that beautiful waterfall there, which we love every day. And here it is at night. I love taking photographs in the garden at night, and you'll see more of that. But basically what I want to do is show what is important to you. Hummingbirds, I love them. They're my favorite bird. Painted bunting's right behind him. So I really worked at having the right blossoms for them. And also our birdseed planted these sunflowers because of the messy little squirrels and the birds. They planted these sunflowers, which is my favorite flower. These are important to me. And so I wrote about all of these things because these are the garden stories that I want to remember and I want others to remember. Now, you know, somebody gifted me this because they knew I would love it. But you see, it's not creative memory, so I don't have it touching any of my pictures. I have it separated. Sometimes there are really pretty and cute things out there. Just make sure they're not touching your photographs because if you can't be guaranteed. We know that Creative Memories is guaranteed photo safe. Okay, I want to show you one more thing in an album, and then I'll show you my new pages. So we have a small backyard, so I don't do like a large raised bed garden. Instead, I do vertical gardening, have a tower garden and a garden tower. And I grow, lettuce and arugula and kale and dill and all kinds of plants. And I did want to document here. This was my kale harvest. And then I made kale chips. On here it shows it growing on the garden, on the tower garden, growing in there. short little story, but it just shows how things work in my garden and what makes me happy. That's important. So now I have had a pretty dedicated to the garden month recently, but this is one of the most exciting things that I definitely wanted to document. I have kind of a new garden album I created, getting ready for to show you and share these with you. So we have a plant called a vanilla orchid, and it is in fact where we get vanilla beans from. We used to have one in our other house, but it grew up the side of a tree. The squirrels ate all the orchids. They must be delicious, and we never got any vanilla beans. So I bought a piece about this size. I didn't take a picture, or I couldn't find the photo if I took it of the original cutting. I bought the small little cutting, and then 3 years later we have this beautiful big plant, and so excited, in early March we got our first buds, and now the orchids are blooming, and I am now waiting, hoping that we're going to have vanilla beans. So you see, this is how I use the arrows to point to details on there, and again, it's Creative Memories paper, so I'm not worried about it damaging the photo in any way. And then I just used it here to show that we have all these beautiful blossoms, and now we are waiting for vanilla beans. So that's our vanilla orchid, one of the most exciting things in the garden this week. And this is a plant called a necklace pod. It's a native plant to our area because it's good in drought or in floods or whatever, because we're usually between a drought and a flood. That's pretty much our area. But I wanted to show the cycle. All right, so this is the plant. It's very large, and then it starts with the blossoms first open, then they develop, and then as the blossoms are pollinated, then of course the blossom will fall off, the bud will fall off, but if it's been pollinated, then we get all these little necklace pods, which contain the seeds in there, but it's a really cool looking plant, and I love it at all the different stages. So this was the story of the necklace pod, and that's how I wanted to document that. And you can see I picked up on the yellow, and that's why I put it on this page like that. And then I have the arrows to draw your eye through. And next, let's see. Okay, so we have this gorgeous butterfly called a black swallowtail, and it's, when you have pollinators, you need a larval plant for them to lay their eggs, and you need nectar plants for them to eat also. Well, we have this Dutchman's pipe. It's also called the pipe vine, has this crazy blossom on it, beautiful heart-shaped leaves, and when you trim it back, it has a sweet, wonderful smell, so a beautiful scent to it. So I think it must be delicious because the mama swallowtail lays her eggs on it. It's her larval plant, lots and lots and lots of eggs, and then these caterpillars then start growing. This one, I don't know, this one was a little confused because it ate a blossom. Normally they eat the leaves, but I guess any port in a storm, it was hungry, so it ate one of the few blossoms that I had. But that's okay, that's all part of it. And then I just tell the story about it, and what, my thoughts about it. That's the garden story for a black swallowtail butterfly and the Dutchman's pipe or pipe vine. Okay, now, monarch butterflies. I love these. I love the monarch milkweed plants because I wasn't able to fit it on this page, but if you just leave the seed pods there, they disperse. And I was going to make another page about that, but I decided I just wanted to focus on the butterfly today. So here's the monarch butterfly, but she is not on her larval plant, which is the milkweed. This is a porterweed, has lots of delicious blossoms. So she was here on the nectar plant. I want to make sure I differentiate that. So she's on the nectar plant. Then she moves to the milkweed plant where she lays her eggs. There was a milkweed right there. And then, I don't know if you can see it in here, but there's a little caterpillar right here. And of course, once they're larger, then it's easier to see them. Beautiful little caterpillars. And then I do follow, they eat all the leaves off of the plant. So that's why they leave it when it's time to go through metamorphosis. They leave that naked plant because they couldn't hide. So they crawl away, and this one was in the back area of our yard and crawled onto this copper plant and attached to the base of the leaf. And then I watched it form its chrysalis, which is, I never get tired of that. I used to do it in my classroom. I used to do it with my own kids. I never ever get tired of it. So I sat there and watched, and this is not, it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see it's just starting to form that green chrysalis. And this part happens pretty quickly, but then after it sits for a while, stops moving, and then that beautiful green chrysalis, like a jewel, and then gets the gold on it. It's just absolutely breathtaking. So that's our life cycle, and that's why I wanted to have it like this. I was thinking, this is starting to look a little bit like a science textbook, but that's me too, so it's okay. So there's our monarch and our milkweed. You know, I wouldn't be able to do something and not talk about our bees. So this was, I had a couple of eggplant plants. This was the traditional eggplant plant, but I also had this Asian eggplant. These are kind of fun to cook because, and I put the knife there just so you can judge the size. But these are kind of fun because you can just cut them and you get like little medallions, little slices, rather than the giant eggplant. But I did have some beautiful big eggplant. But this is also an ode to our worker bees, because if it wasn't for the bees, we wouldn't have every third bite of food we have comes from the work of the worker bees. So I wanted to make sure I honor them here and thank them too. And here's our cycle here, from the pollinated blossoms to the eggplant, and then the harvest, and then the best part, the yummy eating part. Okay, next one. Okay, so the last few weeks we have weeded and planted and trimmed plants and so forth. As a matter of fact, we used 130 bags of mulch and some soil too, because we had some leaks in the sprinkler system, so I had to put some more soil out there and so forth. But we don't do this all the time. It's been a couple years since we did the entire backyard because we have no grass at the back. So the gardens were looking pretty sad, but once we weeded and trimmed and then did all the mulching, it was beautiful. And I do put a lot of solar lights out in the garden. So here's this garden at night, and I said light it up. And I love this. This was in one of the garden collections. In the spring, at the end of the day, you should smell like dirt. Yeah, no problem. I had that covered. But here, this is our garden. And truly, we took all the grass out of the backyard because we just wanted to have gardens with paths. And what's kind of cool, it's kind of garden trickery, because you think the yard is bigger because you take different paths around the garden and you think you're in a big yard. You're really not. It's a very small yard. But we're using every tiny space. Okay, now this is one of my favorite gardens over on the side. I sit out here and have my coffee quite frequently. But what I did here, again, I mulched and weeded, and I used to have roses in the center here, but these palms that are here kind of shade this too much. So I have trimmed them back a little bit, and I'm experimenting. That sand that you see in the middle is full of wildflower seeds, which have sprouted, I'm happy to announce. But I decided that that's what I wanted to do here. They'll just be in the space. I love wildflowers, but I thought, let me contain them in here. It's an experiment. Let's see how it goes. But this garden definitely needed a refresh, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out, and it looks beautiful at night. This is a really cute little, like a watering can, and it, the lights blink a little bit. It looks like it's watering my plants. Very happy with this one. One of my favorite spots in the yard. Okay, now, there is something about, our gardens are very busy in the daytime. We have squirrels and rabbits and birds of all kinds, and it's a very, very busy place. But at night, it is positively magical. So I have, I call him Bird Feeder's Buddha back here. A friend just gave that to us, and I added a little solar light there, and it makes a beautiful design on the ground, and I wanted to capture that. And then this is in our orchid. We have orchids on this little arch back here in the back of the yard, and right actually under our cinnamon tree, which is fun. And then here's Buddha all lit up at night, and this is a path, like a little gateway to this, I call it the secret garden in the back here behind the waterfall. And as my son Brian says, Mom, you labeled it secret garden. It's not too secret, but that's okay. Makes me happy. So, and I just made a note here because these are my thoughts. It's about my story. Gardens busy in the daytime become magical at night. And they do. And then I have one more plant that I want to show you that I grow. Let's take a look. So in my tower garden, I do plant cucumbers. That's where I have arugula. I have arugula and kale and dill and all kinds of lettuces and so forth. And of course, the cucumber is a vine, takes up a lot of space like a watermelon or a pumpkin. So I have this little trellis that I rigged. I just got them and wired them together so that they can crawl across there. Here are little baby cucumbers. Here they are ready to be harvested. And then once we harvest them, we are so happy. So I wanted to make some documentation of how I celebrate our cucumbers, because I love making salads and trays, and I wrote that in my little story. I love making salads and veggie trays with not only our cucumbers, but other things. But today on this, I was celebrating the cucumbers. So this was actually for a crop, one of my summer crops. I did a little fish in the autumn, with the autumn. Of course, Day of the Dead. Christmas, I have this Christmas tree plate. I use it all the time for fruit and for vegetables. But this is something important to me, so I wanted to document it. And now I did make one more thing that wasn't planning to do, but let's take a look. It was a creative memory surprise. So if you ordered around April 1st, you might have gotten a delicious simple page kit. And it came with stickers. Oh, I've taken a couple off. It came with these adorable stickers, and then it has the paper. It's the page kit, so it shows you how to cut to make your pages. And then it has, of course, the base pages. So this was a great surprise, and I thought, this could not have come at a better time, because I had so much dill in my tower garden. It was overgrown. So I decided that I would make a page about it, a double page. And here it is. So I show a picture of my dill plant. This was just the most perfect equipment for me, all this product. So I have show my dill plant here, and it was huge and out of control. The blossoms were beautiful. I cut some of those and put those in a vase. Here's a little close-up of the blossom, and I made my first dill pickles. Now I make watermelon rind pickles, which we love, but I had never made dill pickles. So I made a dill pesto that my daughter-in-law, she told me about a Lithuanian recipe for a dill pesto, so I made that as well. But I decided I wanted to make pickles. These were not my cucumbers. I had to go buy the cucumbers because I didn't have enough, because the dill was shading out everything. My lettuce, nothing could really grow. The arugula and dill were about all that was going. So I did have to just replace this dill, but I still have some in the refrigerator. It was great. So very important. This was monumental for me to make this to make these pickles. They were delicious, and now I have that documented. Thank you, Creative Memories. And there you have it. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, got some ideas about how you can celebrate your cucumbers, or whatever it is you're doing in the garden. There's just something about planting seeds and then having flowers and fruit develop from it. It's a very satisfying thing, and I think it's great. And the more pollinating plants we plant, the better it is for our bees and butterflies, so we can help them out at the same time. In honor of Earth Day, let's think about that, right? So in any case, if you have any questions or comments, please put those in the comments below. I will have in the descriptions, I will have links in the description. We no longer can get that Rainbow Radiant bundle, but I do have one that I'm putting on my website. So if you're interested in purchasing that, it's a beautiful array of colors. So if you don't have access to that and you would like to purchase one, you can contact me. Stop by, visit Linda's Scrapbooking Station. If you don't have an advisor, please shop with me. If you have an advisor, of course, shop with your advisor. So I hope you're enjoying spring. Get out there and plant, or in some cases here, we're harvesting. In any case, happy spring and happy scrapbooking.